Okay everyone, I'm here with the start of my Royal Rumble review series. And what better way to start than the 1988 Royal Rumble. Now for people who don't know, the 1988 Royal Rumble was broadcast on USA Network and it wasn't a pay-per-view. So, it's from the Cops Coliseum in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. So, in fact, I think it's the only Royal Rumble to be held in Canada. So, yeah, that's interesting. So, there were 4 matches, 2 segments. So, here's my review of the 1988 Royal Rumble. The opening match of the Royal Rumble was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Ravishing Rick Rude. This was a very, very, very good match. Steamboat won by disqualification. But it was a very good little opening contest that got the Royal Rumble off on the right start. Then you had the 2 out of 3 falls match for the women's tag team titles. The last time the women's tag team titles would be seen on WWE television ever, because it was defunct right after this, shortly after the 88 Royal Rumble. You had the Jumping Bomb Angels challenging the Glamour Girls on the 2 out of 3 falls match, and it was a very good match, much better than the majority of women's matches today, because it actually had a lot of time. Jumping Bomb Angels won the first fall, Glamour Girls won the second, so like most 2 out of 3 falls matches, comes down to the third, in which the Jumping Bomb Angels won, and they won the women's tag team titles. Now, that title, of course, was defunct, so they are the last women's tag champs. But an interesting little note here, Leilani Kai is the only woman in WWE history to hold both the women's title and the women's tag team title. I do believe, anyway. So that's kind of WWE history right there. So then we had the segment of Dino Bravo. He's trying to set this bench press record. Man, was this a waste of time. Because, quite frankly, weightlifting is boring. And it's, especially with Dino Bravo. But this was a very boring segment that really didn't serve any purpose at all, other than to give Dino Bravo his nickname of Canada's Strongest Man that he would have later in his history. So, yeah, served no purpose. Then we had the contract signed between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant for their match on February the 5th, 1988 for the WWE Championship, which was the rematch from WrestleMania 3. Of course, that's a very famous match in WWE history because it's the twin referee scandal. It's the twin referee scandal because it's the only time you saw both Dave and Earl Hebner on the same screen together. And the story of that match ending went, Andre had hit a double underhook suplex on Hogan. His shoulder was clearly up, but the ref counted 3 because Ted DiBiase had paid someone to have plastic surgery. It looked like the referee. This, of course, led to the 14-man single elimination WWE Championship tournament that took place at WrestleMania 4, in which Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant both received a first round bye and basically fought each other in the second round of the tournament. But this was the contract signing for that very historic match that took place on February the 5th, 1988, which was a Saturday. I believe that was a Saturday night's main event, actually. Could be wrong, though. This was your typical WWE contract signing with the shenanigans that still happen during contract signings. They happened here. Thing got up-tipped. Table got up-tipped on Hogan and all this stuff. Yeah, and it was really weird. And it was just, for what it did and what it served and where it went, for what it was leading to, it served its purpose rather well. So then we get to what most people care about at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view / event in this case, the Royal Rumble match, which this time was a 20-man match. And for those of you who are unfamiliar about the history of the Royal Rumble, it was created by Pat Patterson, and it's essentially a reverse battle royal in which 2 guys start in the ring. And at different intervals, another guy would enter according to the number that they would draw in a random draw. This one only had 20 men, however, so it's the only 20-man Royal Rumble in existence, and it started with number 1 being Bret the Hitman Hart, and number 2 being Tito Santana, who was the only half of Strike Force, and one half of Strike Force, who was tag team champs, and also he's the only member of Strike Force in the Rumble. So Butch Reed is 3rd, and you know, the traditional stuff goes around there. And then Jim Neidhart is 4th, and then Tito Santana gets double teamed. Jake Roberts is 5th. He eliminates Butch Reed. More guys enter, then Tito Santana gets eliminated. Hacksaw Jim Duggan entered at number 13 this year in the first Royal Rumble. He was the 13th overall entrant. And this Royal Rumble would come down to Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Don Morocco, the one-man gang, and Dino Bravo. Interesting fact: this is Don Morocco's only Royal Rumble in the WWE. It's the only Royal Rumble match he's ever competed in. Same thing with Butch Reed and Harley Race and the Killer Bees and all this. It's their only Royal Rumble that they were ever a part of. And of course, the Iron Man, so to speak, of the Royal Rumble this year was Bret the Hitman Hart. He lasted about 26 minutes before being eliminated. This is also the Royal Rumble debut of the Ultimate Warrior. It was the only Royal Rumble Hillbilly Jim was a part of. So there's a lot of star power in this, including the Junkyard Dog. It's his only Royal Rumble. So Gang and Bravo eliminate Morocco, leaving Duggan against the Gang and Bravo. After a miscalculation, the Gang goes to clothesline Duggan. Duggan moves. Bravo goes over the top rope, gets eliminated. So that comes down to Duggan and the Gang. And to win the Rumble, Duggan probably did the smartest thing that character-wise he ever did by pulling the top rope down, which eliminates the one-man gang, allowing Hacksaw Jim Duggan to be the winner of the 1988 Royal Rumble. Now, keep in mind, the 1988 Royal Rumble wasn't for anything other than saying you beat 19 other guys. In fact, it really didn't mean anything until 92. I mean, I guess it was always prestigious, but it didn't really have anything, a prize, so to speak, until 1992. But this Royal Rumble match for the first, it's not the shortest. You would think it is when you don't join guys, but it's actually not. The shortest Rumble match is actually the 1995 Royal Rumble. But for what this is, it's a very good Royal Rumble match. It's a very good Royal Rumble match. Although they never really made a note that, like a traditional Royal Rumble, you have to hit the floor. They just kept saying over the top rope. I guess you're supposed to imply that it's, you know, onto the floor. So then we have Craig DeGeorge. Yeah, Craig DeGeorge. What an idiot he was. He interviews Hulk Hogan, and it's your traditional Hulk Hogan shouty interview where he shouts all the time and uses brother a lot. Ironically, the main event of this Royal Rumble probably shouldn't have been the main event, but it was the Young Stallions, Jimmy Powers and Paul Roma, who, in case you don't know, did not get along with each other outside of the ring. So this was always an odd pairing, and they were taking on the Islanders of Haku and Tama. This was another 2 out of 3 falls match. So if you're counting, that's 3 2 out of 3 falls matches on one pay-per-view. That's 2 2 out of 3 falls matches on one event. So, kind of overdoing a stipulation there, but again, this was a 2-hour special in USA. This match wasn't good at all. The Islanders won 2 straight falls, and that's really all I'm going to say about that, because this is a very bad match, and it didn't really belong here. But all in all, this is a very good Royal Rumble. It obviously started a 27-year tradition, I believe, now, because I believe we're approaching the 27th Royal Rumble. I could be wrong on that. But as we went as we would go into the Royal Rumble, it became more prestigious. In fact, next year, this proved so popular that it became its own pay-per-view, and the rest, as they say, is history about that. So, in fact, Vince McMahon originally thought that the Royal Rumble was a very stupid idea, but it's the third longest tenured of the Big Four. So, as a pay-per-view, though, yeah, it's the third longest tenured of the Big Four, with SummerSlam being the shortest tenured of the Big Four. So that's my review of the 1988 Royal Rumble. If I were to give it a star rating, I would give it a 7 out of 10, which is a little bit above average. Like I said, the match between the Young Stallions and the Islanders didn't need to be on this pay-per-view at this event at all, and it wasn't even a pay-per-view. So, yeah. I'll put I'll put my star ratings for things in the description box, and I'll start giving star ratings for matches as I go along. So the next Rumble in this series is obviously the 1989 Royal Rumble, which was the start of what I call the Hogan era Royal Rumbles. So tune in for that, and I'll see you, and like this video down there if you liked it. Thumb up down there, subscribe, and thanks for watching.